And we're live. Okay. Switch it over. Hello and welcome to Fermenting Opinions. I'm your host, David Poseidon.
I'm your co-host, James McVeigh.
And we are Fermenting Opinions, the podcast and Hangout in search of a more palatable political ferment. This is December 18th, 2018. And this is Fermenting Opinions Year in Review. We're joined by Haley and Mike. We'll be joined by some others as we get rolling here in a little bit. But welcome. How are we all doing?
Wonderfully on my end, aside from the fact that, as we were discussing beforehand, I finally got my first zucking from Facebook. And I am really livid.
Yeah, you're really salty about it. That's funny. Actually, it relates because we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But our year in review, because we're going to talk a little bit about our group and how it's grown in the year, as well as what's been going on in politics, what's been going on with the podcast. It's been a wild year. We were sitting here brainstorming before we even started, and like what are we talking about? What even happened? I don't know. And we just start looking through the stories of like what didn't happen in 2018.
Oh man,
this year has been insane.
It's been a roller coaster. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what. There's never been a more charged political climate in my lifetime. Now, granted, I'm only 31, but this is pretty insane for me. I remember being a kid, even as a little kid, watching the impeachment stuff and keeping track of it. And as being an adult and going back and looking at it and kind of understanding it. I mean, poor Bill Clinton's impeachment stuff was nothing compared to this. I mean, this is just people are throwing around the word treason and we're wondering if Donald Trump sold the presidency to the Russians. I mean, this is just wild.
Oh, the Russians sold it to him.
Well, yeah. Or quid pro quo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad that Bill Clinton had to go through proceedings for lying about getting a blowjob at the end of the day.
All right, I ask you, who
high crimes and misdemeanors?
Who in this conversation has not lied about getting a blowjob at some point?
I don't think Haley's had to lie about getting a blowjob.
No, I don't want to go too far into that rabbit hole.
I wasn't gonna acknowledge that.
Yeah, hang on. I'm just saying.
We talk about the Facebook jail because before we get to that, let's set the stage, folks. Was it October or November? We had the great troll infestation.
Oh yes.
Of oh my God.
Opinions Facebook group. It was. Mike, this is before you joined. We were trying to branch out into other groups that were like more conservative leaning because we tend to be a little bit like we're kind of centrist, but a little bit on the left, fairly. I would admit. So we're trying to have we as in the group.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got a lot of liberals in there. Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying, it's true.
You slow your roll, James. Come on.
But there are like a lot of left leaning moderates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so trying to find more conservatives. So we end up joining this group called. I don't even want to give them.
No, yeah, let's not. We're not shouting them out.
I'm not going to do it. So we ended up joining this conservative group, and it's just a sort of your very typical like just shit posting group. Leftist groups have shit posting stuff all the time too.
Yeah.
But this is like they're all trolls basically. Like half of them are using fake accounts and like it's like the worst of the worst.
They're all. It's just where people go when they're in Facebook jail. They make fake accounts and hang out on these things.
And they join this. And
that's where James is going to be.
This is what I get for not being a coward.
It's a daily like hateful circle jerk.
No, it was really horrible. Like I was being berated and bullied a lot.
He was, and
this is how I got zucked. Is that I was being
wait. So the troll people that infested our group.
So yeah, we ended up name dropping ourselves to try and get some conservatives to join our group, so we could have a little bit more diversity of thought in the conversations. Right? That went horribly.
We did. Hang on now. We did actually end up with a few good members from that.
I think we've got two.
Kevin. I can't remember Kevin's last name. I'm sorry, Kevin.
He may not want us to use his last name, but there was a Kevin and one other guy that I can think of that they joined and they're relatively they're good. Everyone else was a fucking troll, and they would just post fake news and be inflammatory and rude. And then like dance on the line. What's a rule violation in the group?
Yeah, they were trying to get people kicked out based on the rules, and I'm like, please don't rule lawyer me. I am a lawyer.
It was
it was so annoying to deal with. because we always strive to like, okay, no, like, okay,
So,
this is really inflammatory, but like, how inflamed are we based off of like our own, like how much can we,
And-
like it was like, God, we had to like freaking weigh that freaking ethics battle, and then it's like, fuck it, they're all trolls. And then I was the one who was, I then went troll slaying.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no, and Haley was our resident troll slayer, and I was trying to go to bat for these
And then
people.
y'all
I'm
got
like,
blamed for it. Like after a while, I was like, I'm tired of this group message. I'm blocking all of them. And y'all were just like, wait, what? And I'm like, all of them. I'm doing it now.
and so I stayed. So backstory: I stayed in that troll group, and relatively we got
I
along.
stayed in one of them.
We got to arguing, and but generally speaking, I got along fairly well. Like was all fine. We all had a good laugh over busting on Michael Avenatti because that's always fun.
Sure,
like,
'cause
yeah,
he's a joke.
Is that why you're always angry about him? Because you've been hanging out with trolls busting on him?
Yeah, sure, because I clearly agree
Yes!
with these people. But no, I really just don't like Avenatti because I really don't like lawyers like
I
that.
just don't even like think about him until I go on Twitter once every 3 to 4 days, and I'm like, ha ha ha, that's funny.
Anyway, so God, I can't remember what the post was about, but there was
When
some
did
post.
this happen?
Probably a couple weeks ago that I quit, and this just now came up today, obviously, but yeah,
because they have to review it, right?
I guess I don't know, but
Oh my
anyway,
God.
like everything was fine, and like they were all ganging up and being stupid, and I'm trying. Oh, it was the Office of the Inspector General's memo. And they didn't understand what it meant, and they were saying, "Look, Mueller specifically."
What did that one say?
That was the one.
be right back.
That was the one that said basically that it was the review of Strosk's and Page's text messages and all that. And and so they were like, "Okay, this is obvious evidence. Now there's a cover up, and that Mueller deleted all these text messages." And I was like, "Okay, wait a minute." And I explained.
That's not what it said at all.
Yeah, I was like, explain what the memo said, and I took screenshots and explained it over and over again patiently. I was told that I'm, a Hillary shill and all of this stuff, and I'm like, no, guys, I really am not a fan. Blah. I defended it for as long as I could, and I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. You're all fucking dumb, and I'm out.
How much bourbon had you had at this point?
Probably several glasses, but I was like, you're all really, really just dumb, and I'm not doing this, and I'm out. I was like, I'm leaving the group. Like, I hate to be that guy that thinks this is an airport and I have to announce my departure, but I'm out of here. Like, you're fucking stupid and I can't stand you
It's
people.
clearly not on Mueller. Clearly.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It's not on Mueller.
Not at all. And, like, it was just really stupid. And I was
FBI.
like, okay, I'm out of here.
Jim's like, I'll move you over one.
Okay. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I think the word I used was dumb fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys are dumb fucks, and we're out. And yes, I can.
I'll give
And
you yours.
so I
Sorry
let,
for the
let them know that they were dumb fucks. And apparently, I just got a notification just now that said, "Oh, hey, by the way, you are banned from Facebook for 3 days because you're an internet bully." And I was like, "Oh,
the irony.
the irony. Oh, okay." I've done way more bullying things in troll groups than this. Like, that's
Yeah.
not normal.
But that's just, it was just
like-
the MO. They joined our group under sort of false pretense. They acted horrible, and then
And then I
They
defended.
really
and
did.
then-
It was
and then
horrible.
I
We
defended
purged
these
them, yeah.
people, and it ultimately bit me in the ass.
Not the troll slayer.
and I want to give a shout out to R. Casey Davis and the folks at the Domestic Edition podcast. Who
Yes.
They came and joined our group en masse to try and like fight the trolls like alongside us, and so we
Yes.
had like a little back and forth conversation and enjoy their work. So shout out to
Who's
those
joining
guys.
us?
Right here we have Kendall.
Hey.
Kendall is.
Hi, Kendall. I'm Haley.
Tell us who you are.
This is
Kendall.
Mike.
So I'm Kendall. I'm the new chair of the Murray County Democratic Party. I don't know if you're here local or not.
I am not, unfortunately, but
I'm not
I'd
sure
love
if
to
we've
hear
ever
more.
Actually, formally met,
No,
but
no,
it's a
no.
pleasure to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you. I've heard great things about you.
Yeah, wow. Who
Those
are
are
you
all
talking
lies.
to? Yeah, well, no, I'm actually, in case you didn't know, Mark Zuckerberg thinks that I'm an internet bully, and now I'm off the internet.
You're not going to
I
hear any
see.
more great things about him the longer you stay on the show.
I'll tell you,
That's really funny. Haley's one of my best friends. She has nothing nice
Yeah,
to say
no, that
about
was
me.
clearly a joke.
Nothing nice to say about me.
So yeah, I'm actually at war with Twitter right now.
Ooh.
And the wonderful thing about being at war with Twitter is Twitter wins, because
Yeah.
you can't get to Twitter. They basically just send you in this like cyclical loop of trying to solve your problem without actually doing anything for you.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now with David. I stole David's phone number and used him as my text confirmation for Facebook.
My phone number to send me a confirmation for his Facebook or something. I don't even know what happened.
Because you're sitting right next to me.
It's blowing up my thing, and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, oh,
Now
yeah.
Face-
He's
now
like, I did
Facebook's
that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Now Facebook's mad at you. Hopefully you get zucked
I'll
too.
get zucked too now.
So wait, what happened on Twitter?
So we have the Murray County Democratic Party has 2 Twitter accounts, 2 Twitter handles. The one that's been active and the one that has the most followers and such. That one nobody is able to gain access to.
What's the handle of? Well, or if you don't want to say, that's fine.
Yeah. So the one that we're using now is Murray County. Wait, it's Murray County Dems. Yeah, it's Murray County Dems. And then no, I don't want to say the other one.
Yeah, of course.
So initially we just tried to password recovery, and then they're supposed to text us the number, and then that didn't happen, and we've done everything. Now I'm just pretty much every day just reporting the account as hacked, just hoping something can happen.
Right.
And then I've tried calling these numbers, because I've done some Googling and that sort of thing at this point, and it's not getting me anywhere. Man. So they win, and now we have two Twitter handles out there, and
Yeah, that's fun.
Have you tried to get on the phone with anyone?
Yeah, I've called.
Oh man, that's always that should be the secret weapon. That hasn't worked.
Yeah, no, they're
man.
smart. They know what they're doing.
I
Yeah.
wish I could
Dang.
call some Facebook rep and bitch at them right now because I would love it.
So
Well, I mean,
I'd
if
do it on
if
air.
you're willing to go on hold for as long as you must, it could
Well,
happen.
usually these things usually last an hour or two.
How long has your account been? Your account's frozen?
This just happened
It
while we were
happened
getting ready for this.
tonight.
I was trying to look up old posts to see what was the most engaged on stuff so that we could talk about it. And then I was like, my Facebook's not working. I'm like, something's wrong. Someone deleted a post. Mike, I thought you actually deleted our post. I was like, man, it's just sending me to nothing. And then I tried logging in through like internet or Safari or whatever, and it was like, oh, you've been banned. And I'm like, oh, awesome.
Man, that was exactly how it happened to me. Exactly how it happened. I was getting attacked on a group that will go unnamed, and it was about gun rights. I'll explain that. And
This
I was-
isn't communist, Mike, is it? Like
communist.
No.
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 Okay.
No,
All
no,
right.
no,
Okay.
no.
You're not in our group. I don't know if you know all the
No.
personalities here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Well, to
Mike is
give
very
you
much not a communist.
Ah.
a very, very quick background. I mean, I'm pro-gun. I'm conservative, but I look on both sides of the aisle. I don't stick to just one. But anyway, this group they were a very, very far leftist group, very radical, and they were making big splashes on social media about. This was shortly after the Parkland shooting, so I'm basically posting factual information explaining the other side that nobody else was. I'm being called every name in the book. I'm being told what to do to my mother. You can only imagine.
Yeah.
So the 1 second that I say you're all idiots, immediately everybody stops responding to me, and within I want to say 10 minutes, I get a notice on my phone saying you've been logged out. Log back in, and I was banned. 3-day ban, or one instance of really just defending myself. I mean, I was being attacked, and I took screenshots and sent it to Facebook. Like, what are you doing? How is this just on me? And they just says, well, you're in the wrong, so too bad.
Oh man, that reminds me of what set me off in this damn thing.
There's no way in hell that they have like humans that like. Do you want to know how many people like they? It's surely an algorithm, and so long as you get reported enough times or something,
This guy
Like
it
it-
is.
it's
I'm
like
sure
there's no
all
way
them
that there is
little
any kind of
trolls.
human looking at any
Okay,
of
then
this
you
and being
can-
like, "Whoa, what was his side in the face?" No one is wasting that time.
And then you
doing
can
that. It's all an
you
algorithm.
can jokingly request review. Like, okay.
Yeah,
I
there's
did
no
that.
way that.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember what set me off now that we're actually going to talk about that is this, you guys remember Celeste? our favorite Celeste out of the troll group?
I don't.
She was-
I don't. I
was
was just
leading-
like, they all have to go.
She was the leading worst case, Celeste Lejan or something like that. I don't know. She was
Whatever,
horrible.
yeah.
Anyway, so someone was asking
Probably
who
not
I
around
was because they didn't like my legal opinion on what I was giving. And she said, "Oh, he's just some millennial piece of shit that's a law clerk in Memphis or something." And I was like, first of all, bitch, I'm from the Nashville area. Fuck Memphis. And second of all, I haven't been a law clerk since I was in law school.
Well, I think that's probably what your Facebook profile still says.
Yeah, no, man. My Facebook profile says something about me being a legal analyst for like an auditing firm back when I did that when I first moved to Tennessee, because I never changed it after that because everyone would try.
So maybe it says law. I don't know. I assume they probably got it from Facebook.
It says
whatever
like
you do.
data. I think it says data legal analyst or legal data analyst or something. That's what my job title was before I even passed the bar in Tennessee when I was just doing like invoice billing.
Yeah.
You know.
So trolls are horrible.
Yeah, they are. So that's a fun part of our year in review.
Yeah,
we can leave that in
the
the
review, absolutely. One last thing on that, and then we'll definitely move on. We got the bad Facebook review from one of them.
Yeah, who said we were homophobic
and anti-gay.
Anti-gay. Well, they're kind of.
But that's what he said. Yeah. Because
he said something like this.
He just really wanted to hammer that point home.
Yeah. Right.
These people don't like homophobes because I'm gay and they don't like me, and I'm like, no, it's not because you're gay, bro. It's because you're an asshole.
So yeah, we got infested by trolls, and then I guess the trolls ultimately had the last word since they now put James in Facebook jail.
Haley, I swear to God, I hate you.
you seriously like they won.
You're the worst fucking human being on the planet.
They won.
They did temporarily. It's only temporary.
The terrorists win, man.
How much?
Terrorists win.
How much time are you having to serve?
I've got 3 days in the clink.
3 days
I
in
got
the
3
clink.
days in the clink. I didn't do shit. I'm innocent.
Wait, but he made a new profile. What's your name?
It's James spelled Jaymez,
Oh.
and then it's Vic May.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
But
so
apparently that's
about
not
to get reported now.
It's not
if
gonna
you're
get
watching this.
get confirmed because David couldn't even get this thing right when I tried to use his phone number.
Oh yeah. Well, geez, I'm real sorry.
Oh. Well, so what else were the big things that happened this year?
Wow. Okay. Well, let's
Everything.
look into. I guess should we go federal level first before we get into midterms and shit? I mean,
Maybe just chronologically. What happened in the beginning of the year that was big?
we've had quite a bit.
The first, I think.
We know that Parkland happened on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
did. So we had the
February
Parkland
of the year.
shooting. We got a whole lot of people riled up about that, and the page saw plenty of commentary on that end when we discussed, gun
the
rights
whole
and
thing.
everything else.
And we ended up doing a podcast episode, I think, down the line, but it was regarding like Second Amendment absolutism. I think we had a good analysis of that. Honestly.
we did.
It was an interesting conversation. It was just you and me because most of these things are like we're interviewing somebody, but like we got to have the legal expert here. Don't let your head get too big.
Yeah.
But we had the legal expert here, and to kind of break down like, well, what is Second Amendment absolutism, and is it really well grounded in
judicial precedent?
judicial
and where we're
precedent?
at.
And no, it's not. So
No, not
it's the
really.
short
Yeah,
version.
no, and that is the very short version. That was kind of a fun exploration of like, hey guys, those two legal decisions you guys love, like Heller and and McDonald, both leave room for an assault weapons ban specifically. They like talk about that. Scalia specifically says, no, not okay.
Man, yeah, it was in that. I'm sorry.
These headphones
I'm
are-
messing around with the volumes because I'm getting messages saying that we sound too quiet. So I've been messing around with the gain and stuff like that, and it sounds really weird.
Yeah.
I'm just tinkering, guys. Don't pay too much attention to me.
Now they did something today with the bump stock ban. I know they moved forward
Yes.
with that a little bit.
Yeah.
It was
today.
actually officially put in place today, saying that you have 90 days to turn over your bump stocks, or you'll be prosecuted criminally.
And the Vegas thing
Is
was
that
last year,
what it
wasn't
was? Turn them over because
Yes.
what I saw was like there was still a majority of them have been like a lot of them have been sold.
Yeah,
Sold from this like a couple of companies have still sold a lot of their inventories. So
The big thing with the bump stock ban is they are basically making it same classification as a machine gun, which I agree with. I'm pro Second Amendment, but I agree with that assessment. It simulates automatic fire, so it should be classified as such. I agree with that 100%. It's technically it's not a ban if you can legally own a fully automatic weapon, then you can still own a bump stock.
I mean, give me a rubber band and a trigger finger, and I can
Yeah.
make a bump stock.
Yeah, there's still. I read the article. There's still ways to do it, but still, I mean, nonetheless, like the
We've been
people
doing
that
that
I
since I
think
was 10 years old.
were most worried about, they might, any little bit of like difficulty or hurdle they might have to jump through to get to that point. The better. I think is maybe the rationale there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what exactly is the? Sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. What exactly is what passed?
It's actually a rule change, I believe, through...
On what level?
It might have been ATF policy, but I'm not entirely sure.
It was ATF.
Okay, so ATF policy changed under President Trump's direction, basically saying that these things are now fully illegal and we will prosecute you if you have them after 90 days.
Yeah.
You have to turn
If you
turn them in,
possess
yeah.
them.
If you possess them at all, if you own them in any kind of way or possess them, it doesn't matter if it's in your home or wherever.
Are they
If
like
you
tracking
possess
down
them-
people who bought them, or are they just? Or
I mean,
it's just
how the
voluntary?
hell?
It's-
There's no way to track somebody who bought them. Like, they're $30 pieces of plastic you buy in cash at a
Yeah.
gun show. Yeah, no way. I mean,
Yeah,
Well, that's what I mean.
it's
There's like a
mainly-
couple of companies that still sold off a lot of their inventory.
I'm sure they did. Yeah, no, they were.
I mean,
banning-
that's a hedge to make. Like,
They
if
were-
you know that,
they
like,
were-
if you think that people are like gun policies being talked about, it's like
Yeah,
a great time to
everybody
invest in a
stocks
gun
up.
manufacturer.
They're coming. We need to buy them
So,
all
like,
now.
Yeah.
I got chewed out on a libertarian group on Facebook because I agreed that bump stock should be classified the same way as fully automatic weapons.
Oh, you're gonna.
Oh yeah, they all destroy. Oh, you don't care about the Second Amendment. It's like, yeah, I do. I
No,
said,
no,
but it
yeah.
simulates automatic fire, so classify it the same way.
Yeah,
Not rocket science.
the argument there is going to be 4 words: shall not be infringed.
Right. Which is why we did a podcast episode explaining why that just saying that over and over like that's like that's going to end all conversation about it
Yeah.
is dumb. So
Yeah, well, what's funny is I stay in several of these groups and I argue with these people, but they don't report me and put me in Facebook jail.
yeah, well, I mean they're libertarians, so
Just keep in mind that machine guns are not banned. Machine guns are not banned. You could buy a machine gun. You just have to go through a lot of hoops to get
It also has to be
lot of-
manufactured before 1982.
70.
there's lots of
Nine?
restrictions on it.
82.
Yeah, it's not a very practical.
It has to be a legitimate Tommy gun.
Anything? No,
No.
not just Tommy gun.
Or
M16s
1986.
count. Mac
Or
10s, I
1986,
think.
That's what it is.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
Mac-
Mac.
I just-
M16s.
yeah.
Yeah,
M16s apply. Yep.
M16s,
but-
Mac 10s, Uzis, things
Technology from the early '80s is crazy. It looked so retro, so I'm going Tommy
Yeah.
gun visually.
like that. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm still fine with that.
We've made a lot of progress. in
Yeah,
that
no,
time
go
frame,
ahead.
so
Go
it's
ahead.
just
Give me
interesting.
shit, man. I can do a lot of damage with a Tommy gun. Give me a Tommy gun.
Sure, but like,
This reminds
I
me of
think
Home
his
Alone.
his point though is that you can still get one. You just have to jump through a lot of hoops. and it's not
well,
cheap at all.
And also there's a very limited market.
Yeah.
Well, there's another.
They can't be manufactured anymore.
Well, actually, that's not true. There's a jump through for that too. You can actually manufacture them for sale with arms contracts or something, and you can possess them and own them if you are a member manager of the LLC. Do you remember the show out of
What
Baton
LLC?
Rouge? Well, it doesn't matter what LLC as long as your LLC is approved by the ATF. Do you remember the show that was out?
So members of LLCs can own
member
machine-
managers? You have to be a member manager, not just.
There's still a filing entity. You just gotta file.
No,
it.
yeah, I'm saying you can't be. Yeah, exactly. You can't be a part. You can't be a silent member. You have to be somebody with managerial control.
I mean, but there's still member LLC. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, the point was, what was the show on Discovery Channel or something like that called like Red Jacket? It was based in Baton Rouge. They were making suppressed, fully automatic like AK-47s and things like this, where the suppressor was integral to the system. I mean, they were manufacturing them right there on television. It's completely fine so long as you are approved by the ATF to be a manufacturer and your arms can be for sale on some kind of military contract or paramilitary contract.
And you have a military contract.
Yes. I think that's...
I mean, that's a pretty big requirement.
Yeah. Mike, what are you saying?
You have to be open to a search from the ATF with no warrant and no warning.
Yeah.
You can show up at any time
Yeah.
to look at your firearms. If you're caught hiding one or you're caught not registering one, then you not only lose your license, but you can go to jail.
Oh yeah, 10 years
But
per
but
weapon.
there's no pre-vetting. It's just you can sign up and then you have
Dude,
this access.
I guarantee
Oh,
there's
no.
pre-vetting. Yeah, there's
vetting.
pre-vetting
Oh, there's a lot
involved.
of vetting. The
Yeah.
ATF.
They're going to inspect the premises and make sure that you
Oh,
have
yeah.
manufacturing machines
But,
specifically for
and
these
you
weapons.
have to have a military, like you have to be a nested contractor.
I don't know if you actually have to do that part specifically. Or I think you.
don't think
Man,
so.
I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to
It's not
speculate
military.
too far on something I don't know.
I mean, if you have to have a military contract, you have to be a nested contractor with the military. There's like way more vetting.
I think
than-
you probably. Yeah, I was going to say. I think you probably have to at least have pre-approval to bid for contracts with the military or something like that. I don't want to go too far into that because that's a very specific area of law I know nothing about. Like I don't want to be confused.
All
on that
right,
one.
anyway,
But
then.
yeah, it's possible though. I mean, you can still manufacture brand new machine guns in the United States of America, so long as you have the proper licensing and the ATF gives you the father.
So long as you have jumped through the right hoops.
Yeah. It's not easy though. I mean, it takes like what 9 to 11 months just to get the $200 tax stamp that you don't even have to really apply for just for a suppressor.
So all that to say,
Wait,
mass
9
shootings
to
still
12
happen all
months
the
and
time, right?
$200?
Yeah, to get a suppressor, you can get a suppressor as long as you can legally own a firearm. You can apply for a tax stamp for a suppressor, but it takes forever for the ATF to process it. Yeah, if you want to buy one, you can go to a gun store and buy a suppressor. I mean, that's not a big deal. I can make my gun silenced without an issue. However, it's the wait for it's insane.
What's an insane wait period?
9 to 11 months for
You want to know what's insane wait period time?
Oh God.
Do it, Haley. This is your
Is
review.
this going to be
What's been up this year with you, Haley? I heard you got married or something.
To a non-U.S. citizen, and I'm currently going through the immigration process. What do you think my wait time is to have, to go through that process with my husband? It's not a fraudulent marriage, and he's a hell of a catch for any country.
Oh, okay. All of those things are
MIT
very
educated, fluent in 4 languages, solid mechanical engineer, and all. He's good looking. He's got a great beard.
He does have a great beard. I will give him that.
That could be cause for concern. Though.
That is cause for concern. There's a lot of weak-chinned conservative males who are really upset about this.
How long till Matthias? How long will Matthias have to wait to become an American citizen and not have to worry about being, I don't know, like detained by ICE whenever he comes back from vacation out of the country?
If I had to guess, I'd say 3 to 8 years.
I was thinking 5.
It's probably going to be closer to 8.
Yeah, I think what I've read is so far is like if you're an exceptional candidate, like Matias is 3 to 8.
I mean, he's on an L1 visa.
Yep, 3 to 8 then. Yeah, and I agree.
An L1 visa is like that's the highest work visa you can get on. That's like what Elon Musk probably was on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's there's a broad category, and you had to be in management and stuff. But
Is it funny at all that like you can just be some ignorant hayseed just born here and like not have to jump through any hoops, and you're just because I happen to be born on this particular clod of dirt. This is what I get. I get all this great stuff.
So you have to wait 9 to 12 months and pay $200 to get a suppressor. But Matthias is gonna.
Well,
You have to apply and spend a lot more money just during the application process. We can't travel out of the country while his application is being processed. It's supposed to be 90 days, but we've been projected out way further than that. And then you only get a temporary visa. And if you haven't been married for at least 2 years by the time you apply, you have to go in for your initial interview, and then 2 years have to pass, and you have to go in for your second interview to make sure your marriage isn't fraudulent. And right now, the wait time for the first interview before the 2-year interview process starts for him to not be on a temporary green card is 2.5 years. So we're looking at a minimum of 4.5.
was there?
Okay.
Was there?
And you need to have a permanent green card,
All right.
and you need to have it for at least 5. Fact, we're getting closer to 10 years.
Yeah.
He could probably shave some of it off just because he has some exceptional credentials, so some of it might be shaved off.
And I mean,
but just like on that basis, that's 9.5.
And see, and I don't want to split hairs because what I'm talking about is a fundamental right. that belongs to American citizens, yada, yada, yada. But in retrospect, I would trade and go for a longer wait time for people to be able to, actually become citizens or at least lawful permanent residents in this country. I mean, I would trade that. What we're talking about, though, is 11 months to buy something that shouldn't even really be restricted.
A suppressor?
Yeah. I mean, who gives a damn?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of, because there's, and I don't want to get into the
I don't wanna
pedantry
get
of guns and stuff, but like it doesn't make a gun so like you see like silence guns. Like they don't do that. They just make it where you don't need ear protection when you shoot the
some
thing.
do, some don't. But anything that's actually dangerous that they're worried about, like assault weapons, you're not going to put a suppressor on a 223 or something like that and make it quiet. They're not quiet.
They're not quiet
by any means. Like you just don't get the loud initial bang. You still get the actual sound barrier crack and everything else. They're still loud. But anyway, the important point is
Haley, I wanted to ask you because it's something that. When did it get this difficult? Has it been like this for years and years, or is this a more recent thing? Because I remember when I was in high school, I had a really good friend of mine who's from Russia, and he hung out with like this Russian crowd in D.C. and like he knew lots of like Russian mail order brides. Like who were like very young, like this is like right after high school. They're like 18 to 20 years old. They would go. They would be these.
What year time frame is this?
2 years. Yeah, this is like circa like 2000, like late 90s kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they would do their 2 years. They get their citizenship, and then they kick the guy to the curb like immediately afterwards. And like some of the dudes were on the level, they knew how it was, and some were like those lonely hard types that they just got suckered, But like I was like, but that was a legitimate thing because I met those people. Like, at what point did it get so hard between 2000 and now that someone who has all the credentials Matthias has and is looking at the sunny side of a decade to become a citizen?
Well, I don't know. I know an anecdote, which is we have some friends who are from Mexico. The guy is here on a work visa, and his wife is an HB1, and they came here. I think he started working in Houston. He met Matthias whenever Matthias was working in Mexico in the oil fields, and so I think maybe 2013, and so he's gone through he went through the process in 2014, and probably had to renew his visa a couple of times or at least once under the Obama administration, but they weren't able to go to our wedding because they couldn't travel while their work visa was getting renewed because that's like this weird requirement, and then it just takes forever to process. So like once you apply. Like until you get like any kind of green light, you are trapped in America. And if you are like an internet, like Matthias's sister is having a baby in April, and we had a wedding on December 3rd in Mexico, and so we had to wait to apply until right after the December 3rd wedding. But his sister is having a baby, and he wanted to see it over the summer, his niece or nephew. And we just don't know. So, we don't know whenever that's going to happen. But it wasn't. So the process that they went through before with the work visas and everything wasn't hard. He's now transitioning to get like a job sponsored green card. But that's it. And he's doing that. And he started that in, I think, 2017. And it sounds like a horrible experience for him as well. He couldn't go to our wedding. He's a good friend of ours.
Haley, we actually talked about this just the other day, and it's one thing that I realized when it comes to the news of it is everyone keeps yammering on about how our illegal immigration system is broken. Well, that's really only half true. Our legal immigration system is broken too. It has been for a long time. I mentioned to you I had my cousin Dominic that immigrated from Italy along with my older relatives, grandparents, great-grandparents. And he waited for years to become a citizen, and he just wouldn't stop complaining to us about all the loops he had to jump through. And he was an engineer. He had a college degree. He was, not just, I wouldn't say just anybody, but he was a hard worker. And a lot of people don't realize that it's not just the the illegal aspect of it that everyone keeps talking about because that's the hot topic now. It's the legal aspect that just doesn't seem to really benefit not only us as Americans as a country, but also the people that deserve to be here. And it just seems like there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and it's such a
Right, but
not just a
everyone's
hot topic.
focused on the border wall
Exactly.
and that kind of immigration, and that's what everyone's going to focus on. And no one gives a crap that now it takes 2.5 years for someone who's legitimately married to an American citizen and a great contributor to like his society and someone you would want to have just to get processed. So, but yeah, let's everyone just keeps focusing on that, and it's not some crazy voodoo boogeyman. We need to actually. I mean, immigration is a good thing. We need to, work more towards process and figuring this out instead of just like having this backlog clusterfuck that we keep on having to deal with. And while keep on talking about like a caravan or something, no, like the real issue is processing legitimate people to become green card holders.
It doesn't much incentivize.
Sorry, I get
incentivize people. No,
so.
do it. I mean, it doesn't much incentivize people to try and do it the right way when you
There's
see how.
no incentive, and it costs you so much money.
Yeah,
so much time.
And it sends a message, doesn't it? That it's trying to discourage you at every turn. And to me, it sends a message
the whole time, like they, if anything,
we don't want you here if you're from somewhere else.
Bidding on Matthias,
Yeah.
And instead, he's getting questioned by ICE whenever he flies in from Mexico after a wedding for not having a piece of paper that says, yeah, my huge ass corporate employer is an actual employer who's able to sponsor work visas. It's a real thing. Like,
it's terrible.
So anyway.
David hit on something pretty good there. It's and you're right. It doesn't just give people the incentive to say, why should I go the legal way? But it actually, in what I learned from my cousin, who was a hothead, is that it actually creates animosity between people who do go through the legal hoops of coming here legally. And then they see, well, here's, someone that's been here for, X amount of years, and, they just either, whatever, overstayed a visa or whatever, what have you. It creates a lot of animosity between them, and it really adds to the tribalistic.
Well, wait, but they would be an illegal immigrant. They overstayed their visa. What do you mean animosity between whom?
Between my cousin or say, I'm not saying your husband and you would be animus, but I'm saying my cousin definitely was. Where
towards
somebody would overstay
towards undocumented people, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. It's just that it creates that tribalistic mentality of, well, I went through all these hoops and I did the right thing.
Right, well, you feel like you're standing in line and somebody else cut, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the feeling that they get. And
well, I don't know. The animosity, I think, is more towards the line than other people who cut it. Personally speaking, sure. I'm like, oh, you cut it, cool. Like that's good. You don't have to stand in this line anymore. I wish I could cut. Yeah. So, and I mean, honestly, I just see it as like I know a few very solid individuals who are very smart individuals who are not American citizens who have corrected me on my English, and they are not. They're having to go through this process. And honestly, some of them are probably going to leave. They're just going to stop doing that because if you have to like keep on missing your niece or nephew's, birthday or something because you're having to reapply for something, like no, they're just going to eventually. Whatever.
Yeah, it's an impediment.
It's not worth it.
But yeah, I think the overall message. What I get from it, just from all the people who are trying to do it right, and then the people who were undocumented and now they're in fear of deportation, and you hear all these horrible stories and the whole thing. It sends a message overall that to me that the administration is saying, we don't want you here if you're from somewhere else. That we just want to close in and be cloistered. And
I get like that kind of like political platform's a little popular right now but. I don't think we realize that like there's a lot of value in immigration and stuff. Like there's some very valuable people who are here who on work visas. Elon Musk was here on a work visa and a student visa, like, and he's an American citizen now. Like so I don't know, we shouldn't be afraid of it. That's my stance.
Agreed.
We should probably move on from this topic because there's a lot that's happened this year. We started with the Parkland shooting, and now we're in
immigration.
Right?
But I mean, yeah.
Well, another big thing that we've done this year is we've interviewed a lot of candidates, and this might bring a little more relevance to your participation here as the new chair of the Murray County Democratic Party.
So I'm pretty sure we touched on everybody.
We talked to a lot of great Democratic candidates,
and then circled back a little too.
Yeah. And not just in Murray County, but in the Middle Tennessee area, a lot of great candidates. None of them won. Not a single one. I don't know how many interviews we did.
Matthew White.
We did have Matthew White on. Yeah.
He won.
But he's not a Democrat.
No. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think
I'm
you're.
sorry.
That was our last podcast. No, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
It was a great interview. But he wasn't he wasn't one of the here's a candidate running and here's his platform and let's talk to him and let's see how he does, and it's like every single one without
pretty
fail,
sure, yeah.
all lost.
Oh yeah.
And that sucks.
Well, we got more than one response from campaign managers on the right that said something along the lines of, "I'm not going to open my candidate up to negative publicity because they have the R next to their name, and that's all the endorsement they need."
Yeah, I mean that was.
Well, I think that's what we
happening at every level.
concluded, right?
No, I got those words from someone specifically.
Yeah.
But,
Tough state
one-
for Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's an 80 to 85% Republican county.
Something.
Yeah,
similar.
I was gonna say, they're just like, no, we're not rolling that dice. Basically,
How
what I
does that
heard-
make your job?
Me?
This is
Yeah.
chairman.
Yeah.
Chairwoman.
Well, I mean, we're just always running uphill. I think if you have your smart people at the top, kind of with their feet planted on the ground, you know what you're doing, know what you're getting into. So, you just you prepare for that, and I, especially right now, I feel very strongly that we're on the right side of history, and so I think that's one good aspect to it right now is, there's also some kind of like feel-goodism, about it, because things are just so polarized and so far removed from how things were even 10 years ago, the two parties. So
Go ahead.
I would say I actually voted for a 64th district candidate who was a Democrat when I was in high school who won, Ty Cobb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Good
I mean
man.
those memories aren't lost to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, AJ, our 64th state representative candidate this go round, he had a ton of Republicans. He was their first Democrat to vote for, and unfortunately,
How'd he do?
oh, he got
Not
crushed.
great. Yeah.
It was like 2-1.
AJ was on our podcast
Three times.
Yeah, three times.
3 times.
He got
And we had Mariah Phillips
fucking
twice.
shellacked.
Yeah.
And Justin Canoe once.
How bad? Like, what was the percentage?
66-33,
Yeah.
probably. somewhere
That's
in
not
there.
that bad.
That is fucking shellacked.
Yeah,
That's
that
bad.
we could have.
Honestly, and the worst
dang
part about that
donkey.
is no one
Yeah.
likes Scott Sapicki. Scott won, and I'm not afraid to say it at this point because I don't really give a shit. Because sorry, Scott, if you're listening.
Because you're in Facebook jail.
No, yeah. Well, also I'm in Facebook jail. Well, you whatever. But also, Scott, no one fucking likes you, dude. No one likes you. No one who actually matters.
And I discovered I have a friend in common with him.
No one who actually
know that.
matters likes you, aside from the voters.
You know
that
Mark
put you in
Sully?
office. But
I don't.
honestly, yeah, the
he's good
Republicans
friends
who
with Greg Hanner.
actually have respect in this county don't give a
anyway.
flying fuck about you.
He's friends with Scott. And I'm like,
You're literally the Donald Trump of the 64th district.
Which
There's been a lot of Donald Trump news this year.
actually,
Oh, sorry.
it's funny you say that. You probably knew this, but at the election commission, our election commission, which is where you go to early vote
Yep.
for
Very
about
familiar.
2 weeks before the actual election day. the candidates, they all stand out there, and we spend a good 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And we wave at people, and that's how you win elections.
Is he? Because that didn't work for AJ. He was out there the whole time.
Yeah, we all were out there.
Well, somebody destroyed his tent.
That's what you have to do.
Ah,
But anyway,
nature.
so Scott's out there, his team's out there, and they're waving. And I think it was after the first week, and somebody ordered and brought out, and they took a post driver, and they staked this sucker into the ground, a life-size Donald Trump cutout. And they positioned a sign for this candidate.
I know who did that.
Scott Sapicki. I mean,
No, it wasn't Scott Sapicki.
Oh, I know it wasn't him.
One of his
people.
Yeah.
I know who did that.
Maybe
it's
Tom.
Great. No,
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to get into that. But it was a great idea.
You want to tell me afterwards.
Really,
No,
honestly, in Murray
So
County.
what? Like right outside a polling place? There was just
Oh,
Yeah.
people were taking selfies with it. They thought it was awesome.
actually
How
was
far
a
outside of a
terrible
polling
idea.
place?
It was outside of it legally, but barely.
What's legally?
Probably
100 yards.
100
I think.
yards.
It is
Prob-
100 yards.
it's
So like,
probably-
how
probably-
far away was it?
probably like 110, 250 maybe.
Yeah, 'cause it was
No,
kind of-
where the
Okay,
legal
okay.
lineup is, where their
Yeah.
tent was and everything, where they had their stuff set up. But
Yeah.
they put a Donald Trump, giving the thumbs up, like, oh, I'm Buddy Jesus,
Yeah.
but for America, Oh, yeah. And people were taking selfies with the shit. I mean, it was a big to do.
But here's why it was actually a bad idea, and this is how you know that Scott Sapicki did not have any kind of like brilliant mind running his campaign. He's not. He isn't going to lose any votes like doing that. But I'm sorry, he's not going to win anybody that he wasn't already going to get anyway.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
you're only going to turn off people, those moderate Republicans. You're only going to turn off those moderate Republicans who would be turned off by doing that, who
wouldn't
might
matter.
have voted for you. It didn't
Yeah, it
matter.
didn't.
Oh, no. I mean,
Yeah, no.
I mean,
our
I
next to your name
actually
wins you
think
an
that that's
election in
something
Murray
that like
County.
all politicians are slowly learning. Like, you got to stop catering to bases because at the end of it, you're just turning off. There's so many people who are just like leaning more central on a lot of issues that you
It's
just
true-
got to
it's true,
stop
Haley.
making hardline
And-
positions.
But if if appealing to your base is 85% of the population,
Hang on, wait. I
In-
was going to say.
Why would you not?
In that geographically.
The only
that
time that
really
it's been
matters.
close was in 2014 was the district attorney's race with Chaz Mulder and Brent Cooper. Brent barely won, and he won from rural votes because of the R next to his name.
Sure.
But Chaz put out a huge showing in Murray County. I mean, just absolutely crushed Brent.
Well, here's the other thing I was going to say.
Sorry, that was an election I was
It's okay.
involved in.
Yeah, that's 24. The thing I was going to say that has been good because I've lived in Murray County for 10 years now. This is the first and like, biggest showing, right? I know. I'm moving, by the way.
My life. Oh, my life.
Right. So
Oh, my life.
I'm a carpetbagger. All right. I came
Now,
down
we
here
know
to
that.
see and had the whole culture shock thing.
Look,
had all that.
communist, we know.
I don't see how those fly.
I'm going to mark
Human-
this for
human.
whenever you try to claim living in Louisiana for 10 years. So
I did. Oh, it's gonna be like that, is it?
Point I was
mark
getting
it, just
to,
marking the words,
ladies and
just marking the
gentlemen,
words.
is that we saw a tremendous showing. We didn't just roll over for another election cycle and just be just silent nobodies. They were out here, and especially AJ, probably more than any of the candidates that we talked to. The amount of reaching across the aisle, the amount of having a great unifying message,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Ultimately,
yeah, no,
polemics
we
didn't
run
matter in
that
the long
campaign.
run vote wise, but like that's the thing that's going to carry us forward into 2020. That attitude, and we're on the right side of history.
Coming from the other end of the aisle, I'll say that I'm very proud of the campaign AJ ran.
Yeah.
I mean, he did his damnedest. There were some things about some wind that I have questions about, and I don't know why that was a thing, but I don't think that lost him an election or anything.
No.
But either way, I think he ran a great campaign. And I mean, that's what I'm looking for in a candidate. Somebody who's accessible, somebody who's like, here's my personal cell phone number to any constituent in my district that
he
wants
said
it.
it on the
you know?
podcast. I'm like, you really just gave out
Yeah,
your
he
cell
did.
phone
Yeah,
number
on the
to
podcast. He's just like, here's my cell phone number. It's on his Facebook, whatever.
people would call
me.
him.
Yeah, call me. I want to talk to you. And he would talk to them. I mean, he'd answer
At
his
length.
phone. And
Yeah.
actually,
Yes,
it'd be
yes.
9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. He'd answer his phone. walk away from everybody else and talk to whoever the hell called him and have an argument.
Wasn't he very young too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
really
like
young.
25.
Five. Yeah, that was a big thing that I heard from a lot of conservative voters or reasonable people that said like, I'm not voting for
But
a
I mean, I think that's
25-year-old with
good.
long
You
hair
know,
who
that's
doesn't know shit about
good.
shit.
But it turned out that it's not true that he didn't
It's
know shit
sexist.
about
It's
shit.
sexist ageism
He knew his
exists, but
stuff.
like it's good that you're saying.
Yeah, no, and also personally to me,
It's good that you
still-
have someone that passionate living in your area.
I completely agree, and that's exactly hell yeah, I'll drink to that too. I was very impressed with.
Meanwhile, I have the one-eyed porn star SNL
you
person
have a bad thing to
representing
say
my
about
district.
Crenshaw. I don't want to hear it. I like Crenshaw.
Who?
Crenshaw,
What
the guy.
we've
the
already-
guy she's
like, what
talking
do you know about him?
Her. What do I know about him? He's basically just a card-carrying libertarian.
Okay.
Former Navy SEAL, great dude, cool.
Oh, that dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
wonder about his policy positions on things
He
like
could not have
immigration.
handled that SNL situation better. Than
He did a good job with it.
Yeah,
I'll
no, he
give him
did a
that.
great job with that. Not only that, but then he came
Oh,
out
yeah.
later and rebuked Trump for his running at the mouth about SNL. I mean,
Yeah, but that's after he got elected and stuff.
yeah,
And I don't know.
that's cool. Yeah, he just got elected, so now he's really vulnerable.
Yeah.
I mean, but here-
positions are.
Yeah. Okay. So his
his
positions
positions are libertarian, like
Or-
pretty much across the board.
So like, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
No.
Yeah, like his positions I don't like, but it's like, it kind of reminds me of the conversations people had about like McCain after he died. Was that another 2018 thing that he died this year?
Did he die this year?
Yes,
Was that
yes.
this
Yeah,
year?
he died earlier this year. And there was this whole, did we honor this guy? Was he really bad? Because he had his gaffes and some ugly moments and things like that. And like, I think some of the commentary that I heard about him that was best is like, I don't want him to achieve a single legislative victory on anything, probably, but he's the kind of person that you can at least talk to, right? That he is the kind of character that we want from our politicians, that we want of the people who are going to represent us. Like, and so with this Crenshaw guy, I probably don't want him to achieve a single legislative victory on anything, but like, you can
has some
respect him.
integrity.
He-
Oh
'cause
yeah,
he's got
yeah, yeah.
integrity,
I'll totally give that.
And we
like,
miss that
I don't
shit.
think.
Yeah.
I don't think that he does. I don't think he has any of his views. I think he is legitimately in his heart believing a certain way is the best interest of this country. Like so. I just happen to disagree with him on it.
Okay,
on how
yeah,
to
let's-
on how to achieve it.
All right, but I mean, we're not calling him a total piece of shit, then, right?
No, we're not. We're just
No,
none
I'm
of
just saying,
us
I'm
have
just
said
saying
that.
that I don't like whenever people can just get like a celebrity off of doing something like SNL, and then I get it. He is a decorated veteran, and he has a patch eye and looks cool.
Wait a minute.
He's
Are you
memorable as
are
hell.
you positing that that's what won
Like-
him the election? Because I think the SNL thing happened after he won, didn't it?
Yeah, that's all did happen after he won. But you want to know how many flyers I got in the mail? And do you want to know like one of the only people I did?
Were you like, let me vote for Snake Plissken, the Navy SEAL who's running
Actually,
right
the
now?
first,
Like,
the
is
first time that aired, that was before the election. That was before the midterms. It was the
Oh yeah,
Saturday night
the
before
insult to him of
midterms.
calling him
And
like
then
a
the
porn
following
star
Saturday.
secret agent on a
Yeah.
007 themed porn. And you know
That's right.
what? That is kind of what he looks like. And I got his flyers with his face on it in my mailbox every single day during this past 2018 midterms. Know what the fucker looks like.
Kudos to him, because there was somebody out there telling him, hey man, maybe you should leave your face off this thing.
I do agree with
He's
that.
pretty
Like, and so
handsome guy,
I'm not like
I mean,
I'm not
kind of
mad
like an OG
about
Nick
like
Fury,
him being
you know?
elected, and he does actually seem like a reasonable person. But whenever during the election, it was literally just like his face and these flyers of his position, and he was like just like really hardcore. He was very pro wall. And
Was he?
like and
so.
even though
Not
like you say very
libertarian, man.
big libertarian,
No,
but like
definitely
his
not
issues
libertarian
on
at that
trade,
point.
yeah,
I think we call those
his issues on the
magatarians.
wall and
It's a
trade.
magatarian.
I don't like. I do not like either of those things, and I personally don't like immigration, but like wall trade, like wanting to funnel a lot of money into what I think is very inefficient. And engaging in trade wars, I just think both of those things are a recipe for a disaster budget-wise.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
So-
that really leads me to the question of, like, how can you be a voter in your weirdly shaped, gerrymandered district where you think, you know, what will this state do if more Hispanics come into it? We're going to fall apart. Houston's destroyed if there's more Hispanics.
Well, that's the crazy thing. No one who lives in a border town on Texas wants a wall.
No, because they all lose their property to it.
Right.
Yeah, well, and because, like, I mean, a lot of people cross the border every day. It's like you could work. A lot of people, like a lot of kids go to the nice Catholic high school in Brownsville who are Mexican. They'll go to that school and they have to cross the border every day to go to high school and stuff.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I actually had a lot of friends in college.
Of course it's true.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't trying to call that into veracity or anything.
Well, but I mean, like, so, that is for every good school in that area, that's probably close to 5,000 to 10,000 people who are crossing
the border.
5,000 to 10,000 crossings every day.
Yeah,
for
just to go to school.
Just for kids to go to high school at a good high school.
Yeah. Oh no, I understand. I was going to say actually, I had. I'm not going to name drop or anything, but I had a buddy from El Paso who's Hispanic who was my freshman year roommate. Love the kid, but he.
Well, wasn't Michelle from El Paso?
Wait.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
Nobody knows what you're talking
Her
about.
last name begins with a G.
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to go into that because I'm not entirely sure where they were from. Her and her brother. But no,
that's not
I'm
who you're
talking
talking about.
No, it's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about specifically a different friend of mine. Doesn't matter. The point is that he would talk about all the time about how people would cross the border to go to school with him, and they were from Juarez because they were in El Paso. Like Juarez was the place where, hey, you could get your head cut off randomly just for, being around. And do you have more than $5,000 to your family name? You might lose your head. Mm-hmm. You might get kidnapped, whatever. But these people would cross the border every day just send their kids to high school. Wow. So we've had a lot of immigration discussion, but also a lot has happened.
Should we talk about Arrestivus? Is that
well, no, I was thinking.
Greetings.
I think we should be kind of.
Wait, is that like in a reference to Festivus?
Yes, it was.
I said Arrestivus. Yeah, that's the ongoing gag. I'm referring to Mueller.
We actually have a friend whose little hashtags that her little liberal heart puts out every day, every time she wants to come on this dumb shit.
One she posts. Yes, you do. Don't lie.
I love her and her husband, but she is batshit crazy, and we're not going to get into that.
Today's the day.
But no,
they're going to lock
let it out.
Always,
you're in Facebook jail.
It's always it's not.
Scream from behind the bars.
Anyway, I believe her hashtags are Arrestivus and Treason's Greetings. Every fucking day. Every day she has gone insane over this shit.
I bet that hashtag is like going to be trending soon.
I have some friends on Facebook who every day, every few days, they're like, "This is it. This is the big one. They're finally gonna bring him down."
How long have they been saying that though? Like, bless their
2 years now. I think 2 years.
Hearts.
That was about 2 years. It's not gonna fucking happen, guys. Calm down.
This IRS.
I don't think the Democrats are stupid enough to even impeach the man. But that's a whole other story. But hang on,
I think that personally speaking, I just think that, like, you know what? Don't let, like, if we actually want to do well, let's not even waste our time. Get him by out voting and like voting someone else in and just getting rid of that. If that's truly the majority and everything, gerrymander and just deal with it and outvote him.
Yeah, anybody who's been staying with us for a long time will know my predictions that I've said is that if you impeach Trump and you fail and you don't remove him in 2020, if you do so before 2020, in 2020 he's going to win by a landslide victory. His base will go nuts. They will come out and vote en masse. They will win, no question. If you impeach him and remove him, I highly doubt Mike Pence wins if he runs. I don't even know what the Republican Party would do at that point. But you cannot impeach him and lose. You've got to impeach him and have a smoking gun.
Which is why I don't think he should be impeached.
You better have.
I don't think they go that route unless it's just horrible. Like, I think
Yeah, you
I
need a
mean,
smoking
What I,
gun.
what I
you better
think,
be
what I actually
good.
think we're realizing is that we've all learned from the impeaching someone for lying about a blowjob time frame, and
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
need to, make
If
sure
there's a
that it's
blowjob,
freaking good.
if there's a
Like,
blowjob
we're gonna
involved in
do
this
this.
impeachment, it better be Donald
mean,
Trump
we-
offering to blow Vladimir Putin.
We already
for the
saw that though.
presidency.
Speaking of things that happened this year, when
Or just
he's like
him
he said he
denying a
didn't do it,
blowjob
kind of
from
thing.
or something.
No.
That
I
was
mean,
an
an
international
actual blowjob.
I mean, that was.
I mean,
it's as
an
close as you can get.
actual blowjob, oral sex. Do you
is
even
a
describe
metaphor
the
call.
act?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean,
being-
but the
not
thing
just
is, what we'd get him for on is lying about it. So,
Yeah, exactly. We need some recording where he's like, "Hey, I'll suck your dick."
I,
if you get me the
I'm
presidency."
telling you,
Right,
I don't even
right.
care.
This is not a family-friendly show, but we should mitigate a little bit.
But anyway, yeah. What I was actually going to suggest before we get into this whole debacle over, crucifying Trump or talking about
Right.
crucifying him, let's talk about things that actually did well for the country that his administration did.
Okay.
Well, today the bump stock ban. I mean, that wasn't enacted or signed today, but that
happening.
ban, it happened under his administration. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, generally speaking, the economy's been doing very well.
The
Lately,
Dow
not
was-
so great.
No, all the gains for 2018 are completely wiped out, and the Dow is down like 500 and something points today. And then what did they say for December? Oh, this is the lowest. Since
like the Great Depression?
Yes,
Yeah,
this
Great
is the
Depression,
lowest
yeah.
the Dow Jones has ever been at this time of year since the Great Depression.
Well, thanks,
You're talking
Kendall.
about
Take the
you're talking
wind
about
out of my
You're
sails.
talking about
She
the
really
S&P
did, man.
500. Just to make sure that we're accurate, it's actually the S&P 500 that was down. It knocked
Yes.
7%. It went down 7% today. The Dow fell down to the first time that it's been since 2008.
Yes, it's the
December
Great
was
Recession.
the last
started,
time.
Yeah.
I don't think it started in December.
She's been having a rolling panic attack for about a month.
other
watching,
things-
watching all our money go away.
I feel as though other things.
I have not been having it. No, that's not.
Yes, you have. You've been talking about it for a month.
Okay,
If
wait.
you
hang on.
really want to think about what 2020 is going to be about, no matter how you slice it and dice it, whether it's impeachment or what have you, the economy is going to be by far the biggest factor. If the economy keeps roaring the way it is, well, not maybe
has
this
been.
month, but yeah, it has been.
Was until recently.
Picks back up, then Trump's going to look really good to the majority of American people, even the people on the fence. But if we hit any type of a recession, and not only if, but the problem is, not just if we hit a recession, what does it do for Trump? What does it do for our country?
Let's
I
also,
mean, there's been only two. No, I think maybe it's only one president in modern history in the 1900s who ran for re-election and a recession hit during his right whenever he was running for re-election, and that was H.W. And he lost.
He lost.
Yeah.
it didn't work out so hot, but then Bill Clinton locked into that .com boom, and bam.
Yeah.
I know that you actually don't understand that, so I wish you would stop saying that. And so, and
Oh
I
no!
mean,
No!
hold on,
No! Excuse me.
I
Talk
mean
shit
this,
and explain.
I mean this
No,
respectfully,
please.
just
I'll make
because
it
I
another
know, I've studied about this, and
Oh, have you?
Just
and what
just
course?
come on.
Wait, what college did you get a degree from where you studied that?
What are you talking about?
I'm asking, where did you study economics?
Are you saying that I don't know about economics
No, I'm
because I
asking
don't
you,
have a degree in
you said-
economics?
I'm saying you just studied it. But anyway, enlighten me over how the .com bubble didn't have something to do with the economy gaining under Bill Clinton.
What was the .com bubble? Why don't you just tell me what the .com bubble was? Just give me a general one sentence definition. Actually, let's not do this. Wait,
what do we
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I mean, you can put a lot of things into that. The ability to get loans to do anything on the internet was a huge portion of that. I mean, .com commerce was maybe 15 or 20% of something, where you saw some gains, where people were actually trading online for stocks, bonds, for any kind of commerce online. But I mean, the ability to actually get loans online and apply for them online without using lenders face to face was also a huge portion of that as well. But I don't know. I mean, educate us. I wanted to hear your end of that. Where you
It doesn't matter.
okay.
the economy isn't like we're still currently growing though. So whenever we've lost all gains from 2018, but we came into 2018, we've made
So
we're
okay.
still being able to increase interest rates. I
Right.
guarantee you we're gonna
Right. Okay. So I know the road you're going down.
it's
So
we're still
let
in a bull
me
market.
Right, yeah. So let me what about, and I don't know a ton, I definitely don't know enough to talk intelligently about this. However, I'm going to prompt
I
you.
mean, I can barely
And-
add. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can't do math either. What do you know anything about the 5 and the 10-year thing and how do you
Like
know,
the yield curve and stuff?
yeah, how the yield curve now, what the yield curve's doing and what that signifies?
Oh God.
I mean, I can
David, did you tell her to say that?
I didn't. No, I did
No.
not. No.
No, this is all me.
This is all her.
Yeah.
This is full credit for her
This
to
is
doing
what
this
I'm-
to you
I'm
right
bringing.
There's government bonds are always going to be attractive because they're backed by a government, and so whenever you buy it, so long as you think that government's going to continue to exist, it's going to be a solid investment, and you can buy bonds on 4 different time frames. And it's
This is
the
messed
2-year, the 3-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year yield from that. And the yield curve,
You're doing
This is
a
a bigger-
really good job.
this is a bigger concept, though. Basically, when it's always 10-year interest rates should be high because it's still 10 years, but for a country such as the United States or something should be pretty solid because this is a very solid country. And the 2-year one, you shouldn't get as high of an interest rate maybe because your money's not going to be locked up for a long time, but you're only going to be in it for a short amount of time. But it still should be decent if and maybe you're going to hedge your bet on some wild nations sometimes, just to kind of like play fast and loose. Who knows?
Somalia is going to make a comeback. Somalia is going to make a
But-
comeback.
They're going to do amazing in trade because, it's all about like how many people are buying bonds at a particular time. Like, do investors really are a bunch of investors jumping on Somalia? That might be a good return on a short time frame, depending on what you can lock in. So, those are the things that you weigh. The yield curve is basically that, of course, 10-year things should have higher interest rates. For your particular country, everything's pretty much valued on the dollar. There's very few markets that aren't.
But when people start losing faith in the stability of your country and your marketplace, then
whenever they start losing faith in a government's ability to pay back their loan, because what you're doing is, I buy a $25,000 bond. What I'm giving the government is a $25,000 loan. If it's on a 10-year interest rate, you'll get less money for loaning the government that $25,000 if they have less faith in your ability to pay it out long term.
Right.
And
so the people that know about this sort of thing, they're starting to kind of maybe lose faith in our country's ability to
the yield curve
And
for the
so-
3 to 5 year notes switched in July, and I posted a long ass post about it on EFO, and I got
remember
one
that.
like and 4 comments. No one cared. So the 3 to 5 year already switched. What you watch is the 2 and the 10 year, and it was either the 3 and 10 year or the 2 and 5 year. That one's already switched too on the yield curve.
So what does that mean for us?
This happens. The thing is, everyone says there's the economy is cyclical, and you're gonna have your recession hit. If you're running it right, you should always be able to avoid it. Based off of just good management, and so I don't think that people should just flat out accept that recessions
It's
keep
happening.
hitting. like recessions are due to mismanagement. So,
No, I mean, and you have mismanagement by who?
I mean, it's a variety of factors, but you ultimately have to understand that it goes back to sort of this bigger idea of following. I need to go bigger. Just trust in general, like.
Who are we trusting? Because don't say government, because fuck that. But anyway,
you believe that this dollar that you hold in your wallet is
worth a
value,
certain amount. Yeah,
and it's worth a certain faith, maybe not trust. Faith is probably the better thing. Whenever it comes to like that,
I got faith in that dollar, baby.
And so like you have to measure things like a weak dollar could be good for trade and stuff. So, it just.
Well, especially on a global level. Well, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm right there with you. What I'm wondering is, all these things that you've been discussing, how does that say that we're not about to go back into a recession?
Well, it's a good indicator that the chair of the Federal Reserve, who is not Janet Yellen, it's some white older man, I think. I can't recall his name, but he
oh my God, I just talked about him. What is his name? Anyway,
it's not Janet Yellen. Thanks, Donald Trump.
Powell.
He's like adding people on Twitter. He doesn't even know.
Jared Powell? No.
Hey, God damn it, grandmother of three, Janet Yellen, you piece of shit. How are you ruining our?
Yeah, he said, he indicated that he's not going to keep, rising the interest rates, and so that introduced, maybe. When did
he? Jerome Powell. It's not Jared Powell. It's Jerome Powell. Jared Powell is a former professor of mine at my law school. Anyway.
He's the chairman of the Fed?
No, Jerome Powell is, but I said Jared Powell.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's what I was thinking. Damn, girl. All right, Baylor on the come up.
He indicated that he was going to slow the raising of the interest rates.
When did he do that? When did you hear that?
Like a month ago? I don't know.
Nah, man, I've heard any day now the interest rates are about to spike.
Well, I think
the Fed met today. The Fed has made the decisions today. The minutes from the Fed's meeting haven't been released yet because I literally just checked.
Yeah.
And I was confirming that it was Jerome Powell.
Yeah, but I was wondering about that because Trump went on a tirade this morning saying, "Don't you dare raise those interest rates like they say
they're going to raise interest."
Yeah, of course they
are. I would bet that interest rates. They're going to announce that interest rates are going up by 0.25%.
Yeah, I already know that's
right. And my understanding was that they were gonna raise, but that kind of was going to be it for a while. Is my understanding of the situation.
Well, I mean, they've been we've been on like a super boom for a while, and what they're trying to do right now is play a precise balancing act based off of the value of borrowing money, which goes to like the value of loaning money to either investing in businesses and buying stock or loaning it to the government via bonds. Like the value of borrowing money that plays a role. And so what they're trying to do is cool things a little bit, but we are still in a bull economy. So it's actually a very good thing if we raise interest rates.
Yes, I agree with that, actually. Yes, no, that's correct. I mean, you've got to stave off some of this somehow. I mean, yeah, you've got to do that. And then Donald Trump is over here pretending like he knows what the fuck is going on. He's just, don't do it. Well,
I mean, so just the ability to borrow money and like that base percentage. Whenever the recession hit in 2008, the Fed benchmark for interest rates was at about, I think it was around 5% or something.
Yeah, that is about
and the very first thing that was done was it was slashed down to 0. And that's been something we've been sitting on for a little bit of time now. And we've just recently, and so if another recession hits, I think we're only at like 2.25 or 2.5 right now, and I think we're going to get raised another 0.25% tomorrow, maybe 0.5. I don't think we're going to hit 3% yet, but we need to get up a little bit more. And you want to get a little bit higher. So
But it won't be good for us next year when we try to get mortgages.
Yeah, I was about to
No,
say,
no.
David and I are about
That
to get
is-
butt fucked.
that
Yeah,
is
that's
but
right.
now is a good time to
Directly
sell your
impacts.
house in Columbia.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could do it in the next 3 to 5 days,
Yeah, right.
yeah, good luck.
It might sell.
when,
in 3 to
why the next 3 to 5
That
days?
was a joke. I'm sorry.
Honestly, that's not a atypical listing time
Yeah.
for a house to sell in my neighborhood. Because
Or-
I've been looking.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like,
your
they
your
get
neighbor,
snapped
you know,
up.
your neighbor just listed his
well,
house.
that's a house
for
flipper. The
sale.
lady who lived next door to me died earlier this year, and
Oh,
the
really?
son sold it to somebody who doesn't live there. He fixed the place up a little bit. Now he's flipping it.
How much
I
is it?
wanted to go like right now. I don't know
Did
how
you
much it's
go
selling
look?
for, but I wanted to go right now, so I don't have to compete with him. You know.
But
But
the
I won't.
higher it goes for, the better for you. So
Do I?
the higher it goes
Oh,
for.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to do a little bit of work in my. This is personal stuff.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing to
well,
do
that's
with,
not- yeah,
you
there's
know,
no need to put this in
running
here.
opinions, but like, trying to redo my kitchen so I can sell my house now, guys. But yeah, that'll be probably January.
Gonna go with tile for the countertop?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do some
let's
tile.
see.
I think tile floors, and I'm gonna do some granite countertops. I got a friend in the granite business. So,
Go to the page and vote which tile you guys like.
All
the
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
there will be a
we're gonna
poll
start a
up
poll.
after
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
You know, like,
because I have like some legit, like it looked like it's lifted right out of the Sims, like linoleum countertops from like the 70s or something. And it's got the little like, you know, you remember like the Sims 2 and like how tacky like the countertops in the game were.
I
That's
do.
exactly what it looks like in my kitchen. I don't spend a lot of time in there.
When I think about
I don't cook.
the Sims, I think about, because I played it when I was young.
yeah, me too.
You know, when you get like you're a doctor and you're, you know, towards the not the end of the game, but
Girl,
you know,
you were cheating.
doing well, probably so. And then you can start like
you were
serving
putting
your
Rosebud in
family.
over and over again. Yeah, we all know how it worked. I
And
played The Sims too.
You can like start feeding your family, or like the professor, when you have the professor over to accept your kid into the fancy school, you make the lobster thermidor. That's what I think of when anybody talks
talk about The Sims.
lobster thermidor. No idea what that is.
I wonder how Jordan Peterson feels about the lobster
His ears
thermidor.
is perked up and he doesn't know why. He's like,
Man,
he's
I
the
I
lobsters.
sucked at The Sims. That's what I'm realizing right now.
You didn't know how to cheat? You didn't know what the
Yeah.
cheat code was? Man, you could have built whatever you
I
wanted.
built a castle.
Man, I
Yeah,
feel like I
Rosebud.
really
Rosebud.
remember
I didn't like
over
that,
and
that
over
like
again.
I didn't like the
green
little lives. I like the
diamond that was
architecture
above
aspect.
your
I had a
head the whole
moat
time
and
or something.
Yeah, man, it's really confusing.
The outer wall and the keep and everything.
Yeah,
it
I
was
liked
like
building
several
houses,
stories.
too.
I was ridiculous.
Yeah, God forbid they give you a giant indicator over the player you're controlling.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, we're way off topic now. Shoot,
What
else
were,
we wanna talk
wait,
about,
what
guys?
were we, yeah, what big news? What was it?
I don't know if we had big news or anything. We
the
were going to
economy.
year in review.
Yeah, we've been talking about the
Review,
economy.
The economy and
Can I say one more thing about the economy? We always talk about you used to talk about bull market and all this stuff, and the numbers are still good even though we have kind of lost everything we gained in 2018 and this and that. Like I keep coming back to like this has always been a talking point for it's so great and look at our economy, it's growing and da 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 da. One, you could have laid a ham sandwich on the Resolute desk and the economy would have continued to improve because we were working off of what had happened before. The economy is a slow turning ship, right? You have to do something pretty disastrously stupid, like start a trade war.
okay,
Maybe.
yeah, no, okay, wait.
I
but
will,
hang
I
on,
will
hang on.
disagree
A little
with
bit.
you to a certain extent, David. Only a lot of 2017 boom should some of it should be credited to Trump from stock market gains. The economy and the stock market are two different things.
Yes.
But from stock market gains and investments in specific companies under Trump, he said that he was going to do a bunch of infrastructure spending. He did cut corporate taxes, and it seemed as if there was going to be a lot of money and government contracts and everything that were going to happen, but ended up not happening. And everything, and there was a couple of statements that were made in 2017 that did cause it to heat up a little bit. So, but he didn't fulfill that in 2018.
Sure,
Even
was
though
being a little
that
point, and
that was still that wave was
and that
rode
only
that way
applies
for a
to
little
the
while.
folks that's got a bunch
yeah.
of dollars
Wait,
in the
hang
dang
on, hang
stock
on.
market.
That's
Hold
where I was going.
on.
Hang on, stop. The other thing I was going to say is that the other thing we talk about these more technical terms with the economy, something called what I understand is the Gini coefficient, And that's the number that I care about as a regular ass citizen, you know, and that's basically an indication of like wealth distribution. Like, yeah, sure, you know, our GDP is doing this, our economy is doing this, the stock market's doing that. What about regular people? How are we doing by comparison to the people who already have more than they need? If we're being honest, like if we're still down here and we're not really seeing any gains, but their growth is exploding. It's like, yeah, on a surface level, it looks like we're doing better. You know, and even on average, we're doing better. But are we doing better? Not really.
There's something that switched, and I think it was
ignore
whenever like America went to being just like a less unionized place or something. But stock ownership in companies just used to be way more widespread, and you know, I do think that there was like a wealth sharing more of that nature whenever just stock ownership in companies was just more widespread among employees.
Yeah, and it's, well, you know, it's funny things. Speaking of stock ownership, I think one of the things that we saw, it was like an NPR article or something.
Is James leaving?
He's gonna go smoke.
Oh.
But I saw there was something like it was like a $1 trillion in like stock buybacks or something like that by, you know, yeah, that like we knew they were gonna do this, right?
Trillion? Hang on, wait.
I don't know if it was a trillion.
I was.
I don't have the exact figure in front of me. It was a headline.
Who is buying stock back at that rate, or even close?
No, not that rate. It's that amount of stocks being bought back by
massive
by, you know,
stock buyback.
The top holders, you know, and the board members and stuff like that of these corporations.
Because they want to consolidate ownership in the companies. It's no longer spread out among employees.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
That's to her point.
Yeah. No. Okay. Where did that happen? I didn't see anything about that. That's crazy.
It was
stock buybacks have been a big thing that's happened this year. And a lot of
I've heard about that slowly, but I've never heard about it.
There was something today. I saw a snippet of it.
Okay, was that like for the year or something, like $1 trillion?
No, I don't know about this number, $1 trillion. I just know that today there was something about a massive stock buyback.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am gonna take a smoke. I wasn't gonna announce that to everybody, but yep, I'm doing that. I'll be right back.
So.
Let me know what you guys find out.
Okay.
Doing a little bit of fact checking before.
Yeah, fact check me.
It's one of those things.
I mean, we don't really. What is $1 trillion?
It's a lot. It's a lot. So I've like just recently started to fathom the difference between $1 million and $1 billion, and I know that sounds like a silly concept. I have always like understood the difference, but like like whenever it comes to analyzing like a business and risk factors, and yeah, I don't know, like when I say I mean fathom.
So this is CNBC. Stock buybacks hit a record 1.1 trillion, and the year's not over. This was 5 hours ago today, basically. These figures come out. And these are the people who own and run these corporations, and they're buying back their own stock. You know, it's like you said, there is no longer more widespread participation in this. And
let's think about the number $1 trillion. And I know this. I know a good breakdown of this.
Can we hold on? Can we get a little more simplistic than that? So, like, I really don't know a lot about like stock buybacks like that. So, like, I understand that means that the people at the top are taking more for themselves. But what is that like an indicator of, or what is that a warning sign for?
Okay. No, that's an excellent question. So, just as a general concept, every single company, that's a big company, has stock that's been issued, and you as an individual can have stock in this individual company. You own one stock in Coca-Cola or something. There's different levels of stock. You can have voting stock or something like that. There are so many shares issued for some of these bigger companies and everything. And periodically, and the reason why you issue shares too is because you as a company want other people to loan you money, pretty much. So you want them to spend, $1,000 for a piece of your stock, and you want it from a mass amount. So you want some money to flood into your company, and you're going to invest, and you're going to do whatever, and like maybe become more successful. Great. And then, of course, like on the trade and everything, you own stock, it becomes more valuable, like you'll sell it off and everything. You as a company, whenever you have certain people who own like a certain percentage share of voting stock, and the more you own of the company, the more control that you have. It's probably more going to be consolidated in like, you know, a smaller company is the one who's going to want to be a group of individuals. It's going to be one who's taking this over. You buy back stock for sale in the open market to just have a more ownership in the company, to have less of the stock out, less, you know, shareholders that you had to be accountable for. I think we lost Mike.
Yeah, we lost Mike.
I guess
we continue. Yeah, I don't know. It's getting later, so you might have.
Yeah.
Dropped off.
So we were talking about the number of trillion. Norway has this like fund because Norway had oil, and what they did in the 70s is they were like, hey, our profits from selling oil, we're going to put it in a fund, and that's going to be Norway's version of Social Security. So that's their retirement fund. That's what funds everyone. And, you know, of course, it has stocks in various companies, and it's valued based off of the assets it holds. And it hit $1 trillion. And Norway has 5 million people. And that means every single person, when they retire, was guaranteed something like $237,000 without ever just being Norwegian. Mm-hmm. When you retire, you get that money, and like that was your safety net for retirement. Mm-hmm. And so it might have been maybe it was a lot more than that, but $1 trillion for 5 million, like you're still looking at a decent amount of money. If 1 trillion stocks have been bought back, are there 5 million companies? You know, so they bought back that number of shares. Mm-hmm. And so that means that I would say that it's way less than 500,000 companies. I'm going to say that it's maybe 2,000. That's a lot of shares. If you just divide it evenly among that core group of companies, they've bought back a lot more of the ownership and their accountability to outside investors. They're consolidating power is what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, they don't.
I'm sorry. Did that make sense?
No, I think it did.
We could probably start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I can. I want to read this real quick from the CNBC article. That I think it's a good sort of synopsis. Yeah. So it says companies need to continue to believe that reducing share count and boosting EPS is a more valuable use of cash than they're making investments elsewhere, meaning they're buying back their own stock instead of investing in other things, like actually investing in their businesses. Sad but true, companies are obsessed with controlling earnings per share, which is the key to maintaining higher stock valuations. It's easier to control the earnings per share by purchasing stock, their own stock, and companies get addicted to that process. Buying back stock often provides an incremental boost to earnings per share growth, and when companies stop doing that, accomplishing that goal becomes more challenging. So they're incentivized to do it. So the critics of corporate buybacks and dividends raises are correct. A form of financial engineering that does not do anything to improve the business generally, is what it's saying, paraphrasing, also placing in the hands of people who were critical of the tax cuts, arguing that obsessing over ways to boost stock prices helps the investing class but not the average American. And that's the real takeaway, is that the idea of these tax cuts, we're unleashing the economy. That's what it really comes down to. The real brass tacks is saying, we were going to unleash the economy, it's going to be great for everybody, you know, rising tide raises all ships, da-da-da-da-da. But it's really trickle-down economics. Wow. And actually what Hillary called during the campaign, trumped up trickle-down. Mm-hmm, and that's what this is massive tax cuts for rich people and corporations. The idea that they're going to invest in, you know, in the economy generally, and it's going to benefit everybody. But they didn't. They did stock buybacks, and they're squirreling their money away offshore.
Yeah.
They're just getting themselves
No, they did
richer,
a lot of stock buybacks.
And everyone else is staying
for
flat
the
economically.
corporate tax rate, we were at, I think, 33%. And internationally, it's 20%. And I think that's what we're at 21% now. Mm. So I actually think the corporate tax cut might have been a pretty good thing to boost. But you're right. I do imagine that maybe 30% of, at a minimum of that, was totally done on buybacks of stock. But I do think that it's a good thing to cut it a decent amount.
I guess I don't know Matt, if I agree with that necessarily.
But tax cuts for rich people and stuff, that shouldn't happen.
What's if the tax cuts were going to benefit everybody? Sure. If it was going to have a general benefit, to the median income of Americans in general.
To do a little bit of pushback on you, to do a little bit of pushback on you on the corporate thing. I think that we have a lot of very, very successful companies here in America that we don't realize how limited they are internationally, and we are having to fight against some other people who are grabbing a decent amount of territory. Like Amazon is really concentrated in America. It's not huge. It is everywhere, but it's not as big as you think it is on like presence wise.
Right, but
So
at the same time, you know, how rich do you need to be? I mean,
no, as an individual, of course, but if you're a company paying good salaries to people, like, yeah, I think
Right.
it should be a successful company. So I think that, and we're getting to become a more global world. And so I think just stay with global trends. But whenever it comes to individuals, yeah, like you need to pay your relevant taxes. No one person does need that. But I'm just pushing back on you because
That's
just
fine.
due
No,
to
no,
like
it's cool.
global competition. That's why a lot there's we want big corporations to be headquartered here.
Right.
Yeah, we do, and I don't mind creating policy that's going to be attractive to business here, just not one that's going to, be essentially predatory on the American people.
That's a
in effect.
really hard road to follow, though. I mean,
Okay.
what is attractive?
That's why
to
that's why
corporations?
we were supposed to elect wise people, and push wise policy. That's given some forethought and nuance.
And I
rather
think
than,
also, and you see more of this nowadays, I think, or at least you see more of it talked about. But like what is a company's values and that sort of thing. And I think that sometimes maybe a company could be more successful in this way or that way, but they have these values or they have these things set in place that are part of who they are as a culture, and they answer to that and not just raking in the absolute
Well, the problem is they answer to a fiduciary duty to their stockholders.
Well, right.
Which is,
Well, no, I don't know. So I think that so I represent a couple of larger energy clients, and my two biggest clients are both heavily unionized employers. And I am sometimes, they are technically big energy companies, but they have a large unionized workforce. And, I know that they're my client and everything. So, of course, like, understand that. But, like, I think that they're good corporate citizens. Like, they train their employees well. They take care to do things the right way. And I've been in cases where I've sat in depositions and there's multiple defendants and, it's some kind of crazy, whatever case. It's very obvious that my client is a small player, and then I'm sitting through and it's just like, and they had a pipe of benzene that they just spray on everyone just for good like not really, but like close. And so, I think that there's like a difference in, we had a high corporate tax rate, but we're like low tax individuals when it comes to taking care of our own culture. But there's a lot of company, like, I think that my clients anecdotally and based on what I've seen in the general litigation that I'm involved in are totally the exception. In general, it's a little bit more fast and loose, and yeah, it's an uphill battle for me as a defense attorney representing good corporations. But yeah, corporations have generally not done well towards the worker, and they've been greedy. So,
which is what we expected. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the balance on the fiduciary duty too to their stockholders. I mean,
If the stockholders understand this certain thing about this company, about their culture and about who they are as a company, as a stockholder, then I think that enters into the conversation at that level. And so I mean that
well, and that's why a lot of Exxon stock has been sold off. There was that report that was released in, I think, maybe 2017, but it was the actual memorandum was dated in like 2012 or something like that. That was basically Exxon saying, like, we are totally contributing to climate change here and have done something. And a lot of stockholders were pissed off because they bought into the company after the fact, and had they seen that memo when that information was learned by the company and they had been transparent, these people probably wouldn't have bought the stock in the company. And so they sued because they were like, you lied to us. You misrepresented your risk of liability as a company in the future because clearly you've seen that you've done something wrong. And I think that that's still ongoing. But so that does happen, but it is after the fact.
Sure. Yeah, it's.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
This is why I don't like talking about
the wonkiness.
Like,
I do.
I get into it, and no one else cares.
No. It's not that no one else cares, but I understand
often.
It does boil down a lot to trying to understand the concepts here, and that a lot of people.
Yeah, we should.
And the fact that
we feel strongly about this.
Now,
yeah,
that might have something to do with it too.
People who feel strongly about the concept really don't understand, corporate law or business law and the idea of how fiduciary duty works, and
which is why I think business ethics as a term is an oxymoron.
Yeah, well, sure, and I mean I agree with that. And if you want to reform this, you need to change. You have to change business law at its foundation.
If anything, healthcare, the fiduciary duties to a corporation, healthcare, they're doing great in America.
Right?
Totally
right. Hell yeah, dude.
Duty to the shareholders.
Yeah,
fantastic job.
Everybody's making great
when it's
money.
incidental that you do a thing that might help somebody every once in a while while making lots of money.
But if you work in this industry and you're an executive officer,
I know, right?
Like
there's
you're on the
something
chopping
wrong with
block.
capitalism on that. Like there should be some care about the people, just like moderately.
There needs to be side
just a little bit.
I always advocate side constraints. I think at some point when we've teased a couple things. First of all, because I think it is a good time to wrap. A couple things I want to tease just for the future. In terms of the podcast and things going on next year, we talked about unions earlier. We're going to be talking to a union rep sometime, probably next month, and talking about like what he does basically as a union for the airlines.
Yeah.
We were talking to a guy who is involved in the Housing Authority in Tulsa. That's actually a very good friend of mine. I've known
that's going to be a good one too.
That's a pet project of mine too that I really love because I really like the idea of discussing how we can move forward with housing subsidies and how to help people who are impoverished
and limiting gentrification in the process.
Exactly, because the main thing that we've got to get away from is just centralizing poverty in certain areas. And
we do that. Mixed income communities.
That's a huge thing. If you're
and
really
we're
going to
hear more about
spend
that.
this money and do these things, let's not build high rises that are just crime central.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's a thing. We did tease that we were going to talk about Mueller and all of that.
Yeah, we mentioned it. We barely even touched on that. If you guys,
if someone wants to do like a 30-second, spiel, go for it.
Mueller's busted a whole lot of people. He's busting more. You see what's happened now that the House has come over to us. It makes me wonder. If Republicans in Congress,
but the House hasn't even taken power yet.
I know, but it's
already going
effect
that way. But
that's the way the game's played.
I don't.
The effect is already
the guy who's about to run the Judiciary Committee. I think his name is Jerry Nader, something like that. He actually has a reputation for being a very reasonable and rational person, and while he has described the most recent campaign violations or the allegations from the Southern District of New York against Donald Trump as being possibly impeachable defenses, he's very, very careful about wanting to go forward with impeachment. And you have to go through the House
It's great that he said possible. I'm just really glad that like someone isn't just like impeachment blood.
What he said is that he runs the House Judiciary Committee. So if
not yet,
if his committee, well, he will, and if his committee doesn't forward impeachment articles, it's not going to happen. So he's in charge, and he's saying, "Hold your horses, guys."
Right.
Great.
Hot take. Don't impeach. You said it like an hour ago. Don't impeach him unless we're going to remove him from office.
Exactly.
And that's not going to happen realistically. It has
exactly.
to be horrible. What did Alabama teach us with Doug Jones? You got to be a pedophile.
Well, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You need
it's got to be that bad.
You need a smoking gun. You need a smoking
the
gun.
State Representative Larry Bird. He got reelected handily.
You need a smoking gun.
And wait, what? Larry Bird, not the basketball player, I assume.
No, and sorry, he was. I might have my wires crossed. He was like a basketball coach, but it was what was it?
But he's not Larry Bird.
Was he
not
you know, Larry
Bird.
Bird, like almost 7
What
foot tall,
was his name?
bad motherfucker that played for the Celtics back in
Wait,
the
Right.
day?
wait, is it Bird Song or whatever?
No. We
I'm
we have a
sorry.
bird.
Anyway,
we have a
yeah.
bird song,
Let's
but
put a
Yeah.
pin in that. We'll come back to
No,
it.
Bird. Like I said, his name is Bird Song, but it's Bird Seed or something like that. What is the guy y'all
Bird Seed.
elected?
I have no idea what you're talking about now.
Bread
Mueller.
Seed.
But yes, but Mueller, the idea that for an impeachment to be successful, it has to be so abhorrent, so beyond the pale what they actually indict him for, and you know, and of course, the House will impeach because you know we picked up like 40 congressmen and women, you know, in the House that impeachment could go forward there, but it won't be successful for removal from office. You know, unless we get those votes in the Senate, and it's gotta be horrible. And I don't really believe anything will be so bad that Republicans in the Senate would turn on him.
No.
I have a hard time
Not
imagining.
in the 2/3
Realistically,
majority.
whatever they're gonna get him on, would they get 2/3? I just don't see it because I don't think. Those,
You know, and-
I don't think the Republicans in Senate have any kind of moral spine whatsoever. That's my fermented opinion.
Random thought, and I don't know how much I trust Chris Matthews with anything, but Chris Matthews put out a piece, I think, yesterday or something, where he said that the next people in line as targets will be Trump's children.
Yeah.
I mean, the family
Cushy
is
poo.
yeah.
And his point about that was Mueller may offer them a deal that says, "Hey, step down as president, and we won't prosecute your kids."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
And if
potential,
that
sure.
happens, what do you think Trump's going to do? Personally, I think Trump is such a piece of shit that he'd say, "Prosecute my kids, let's play
Yeah.
chicken." But
And I
that's
think
just
his
me.
kids are
I actually think that might be the
spineless
smarter
and self-serving
decision.
enough that they would
Well-
stab him in the back to save their own asses.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
They
what you
must.
risk. That's
Kushner,
what you gotta risk.
He's,
But
already,
if
he's
that's-
already drawn the
okay.
dagger, man.
Okay, well, Kushner, yes, but
This is all about-
Kushner's not his kid.
Look at it from the
Kushner's
lens
his-
of like analyzing
right?
mafia and RICO hearings and like.
Oh, I do,
thinking
and
about
I
it-
mean, this is, and I've been saying this, and Haley, I think you've heard me say this several times, is that this is a RICO trial. I mean, that's what this is. This
That's
is
how it's
literally
coming out, yeah.
how it's running. Mueller is running. This is a RICO investigation. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Wouldn't the smart decision for Trump in that situation be, yeah, I'll step down. Please don't prosecute my children, because what the hell? What, Kushner's not going to sell them up the river?
I mean, I think Kushner will.
Yeah, I
But,
think
like,
Kushner will too, but I don't think Kushner has the daggers to do it. Hell, I don't think his kids have the daggers to do it.
We'll see. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I recently referred.
Eric looks like
to
I know-
this
I know.
time
from Sin
frame.
City. Okay,
Hang on.
I
What's,
think,
I wanted to hear what Haley had to say. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. In the past, like maybe 6 weeks or so of the Trump administration have reminded me a lot of the movie Goodfellas.
Yeah,
and
right.
they're,
I'm on
they're-
that.
you know, I don't remember which indictment or sentencing or whatever hearing it was within the past 6 weeks, but that's the whenever the piano song plays, Layla, or whatever. I think I posted about it in Fermenting Opinions. And Fermenting in Goodfellas, whenever like that piano song is playing, and it's just like the montage of people being murdered by the mob to clean house because the FBI is coming.
I mean,
That
I
would be
kind of see
nice.
it that way.
Right?
That sounds great.
I'm okay with it. But
I mean,
not.
it's
Yeah.
hard,
First
but-
of all,
but
hang
like-
on,
like
stop.
so
Wait.
many rats.
Whoa. Fermenting
There
Opinions
are
does
so
not
many
advocate
rats that have
murder.
sung.
Fermenting Opinions does not advocate murder, despite what our liberal.
No, I'm not.
progressive
I'm just
friends
saying, like, there's so many rats that have sung now, and like we know what happened in Goodfellas. They had that was total martial law. The mafia has no form of government. That's not going to happen here. But
it's
But,
a
yeah.
funny
Oh no, I
mental
was
image,
thinking
all
on the
right?
mafia
Just-
end of like Donald Trump is paying people to have other people killed.
I mean,
I thought Hillary was doing that. What happened? What happened
Well,
to
Hillary
that?
is good at it, and she's not going to get
It's
caught.
also
Yeah.
applicable because that's Donald Trump's mental scope, and he doesn't realize that he's managing the United States of fucking America with its like 330 million population
Yeah, I mean,
and
obviously,
you know,
Can't he
largest
pardon
economy.
his children? if they do, like,
Technically,
take
I mean,
a
that's-
charge for him or something.
That's an open question. Is if it can
Well,
he
wait,
pardon
that
himself?
subpoena where they sealed off the 5th floor or whatever.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. We're gonna talk.
There
about
you go,
this.
James. There you go.
Thank you.
But,
I got the
I'm
shout
lobbing
out.
it.
I got
I'm
the
lobbing it. There you
All
go.
right, there it is. All right, so go on.
I was lobbing it to you.
Okay, so there is a grand jury subpoena out of Mueller's camp that they sought.
Do we know that it's out of Mueller's camp?
Yes, we do
By the time
for
it's-
certain.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, all
Okay.
right.
No. That was what set everybody off. There's a political.
Okay, yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah, all right.
political journalist who's been sitting around just watching.
All right,
the clerk's
I believe you. Go
office.
on.
No,
All right, so-
no. They're like it's not just one person. They have like
Well, now
they're
it's
working
different.
together.
Well, no, but
And they're
political.
like-
hang on. Politico
sorry.
broke the story. I'm sorry. This was the thing, and I apologize, guys. We're deep into some weeds here, but
Oh no,
this
we're
was
running over.
this
Wrap it
was
up.
a-
Say
We're on
this
fumes,
quick.
man.
All right, this was an admin chat thing that we talked about. But anyway,
Oh my God, you are not
Politico.
saying this quick.
I'm going to say it quickly. Calm down. Politico put out an article basically saying that there was a grand jury subpoena that they caught wind of that was out of Mueller's camp that was sealed and super, secretive, whatever. It went through.
There's a court thing that no one can go to, and they're fighting over whether or not they can subpoena someone. And word on the street is it's Trump, but it also could be Cushy.
Could be anybody. I mean, we don't know.
And they, like,
we have
sealed
no
off the
idea.
fifth
All we know,
floor, and no
hang
one
on.
knows anything.
That happened later, but the important part is it's been under seal the entire time, and it's been super secretive. The only reason we
Yeah,
know
and they
anything,
sealed off the 5th floor the last time.
they did. The only reason we know anything is the first time I clued you guys into this was that that they heard it was from Mueller's camp. They actually saw Rini, whatever the hell her name is, one of the senior assistants.
No, and then
for
like
Mueller.
someone overheard a phone call that was like, yeah, this
It wasn't a
is
phone call. No, it was in the clerk's
Or
office
whatever.
while someone was requesting a file in the clerk's office in
Yeah.
the D.C. Court of Appeals. But anyway, so
But
there was
that's all we know.
there was a Supreme Court. I'm sorry, God, now you're killing me. There was a grand jury subpoena request at the magistrate level. The magistrate shot down. It went to the district court. District court shot it down. It got appealed to the appellate court. That's where we found out about it, where someone overheard it from the special counsel's office saying, filing something, doing something, whatever. But it became this massive secret investigation by Politico and everybody else now because it got expedited stupid quickly.
Well, do we know
what
what any of the rulings are? I don't think we know anything. All we know is there's a
we do know
subpoena
that
fight.
we do
There's
know
a
that we
subpoena
do
fight,
know.
and
we
then they
do,
sealed
hang on,
off the fifth floor.
wait. We do know the dates of the rulings. The rulings went from.
Yeah, but we don't know how the rulings went though.
No, we don't. We don't know that. What we do know,
So-
and this is what makes it suspicious. Hang on. What makes it suspicious is it
Not
went
just
from
the fact
district.
that the rulings aren't public.
Hang on. We don't know what the rulings. Haley, we don't know what the rulings are. We know the rulings happened, and we have record of those. Hang on. So it went. The reason I brought this up in the first place, and then I was told I was crazy, was that it went from district court to appellate court
you sound like Charles
to an
Dickens, right?
oral hearing in like.
Your hands are so big.
Nah, it's cool, man. Y'all figure it out on your own. I'm done. Figure it out on your own.
Oh no, that wasn't even that bad. That wasn't even that
James McVeigh
bad.
with Fermenting Opinions.
We
Everyone
should wrap
else
it
is
up though. We
stupid.
should wrap
I
it
don't
up.
like you guys, but
You're gonna be put in FO jail.
Banned.
We're muting you. Yeah. No. No, you're not wrong.
72
It's just-
hours. Enjoy it.
I'm not even going to get into it. We didn't cover the part that makes it interesting.
There's a billion more miles you can go with that. To be honest.
Court in 2 weeks, bitch. When does that happen?
I know. I'm just.
I want to hear more about it, but let's wrap this up.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. It's like we really just have to wrap this up. And that's all I'm doing here. But y'all, it's been a crazy year, hasn't it? And we're getting crazier as it goes.
I just want to eat my spaghetti.
I just want to eat my spaghetti, man.
That's an inside joke. I'm sorry.
That is a
man.
super inside
I'm
joke.
sorry.
Really
I'm sorry.
No, that was about some
We'll
really
tell you about
petty
it in a
beef,
second.
but don't worry about it.
Chicken, actually, not beef.
Good night, everyone.
There's no- I
I
had
look
chicken spaghetti
forward
tonight, yes.
to 2019 filled with honest reporting,
Yes.
and success and happiness for everyone.
Why? Thank you so much, Haley. Yeah, we've got some good things lined up podcast wise. We're gonna keep the conversation going on Fermenting Opinions. Please check out our Facebook page if you guys are watching this. We have a page and private discussion group, so you can air your
Festivus for the rest of us.
You know, yeah. Wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever your flavor. I don't care. Love you all. That's just, I don't care. You know, one of the things I was saying, the war on Christmas. I was joking about this real quick.
No!
Fuck me!
Stop. I'm gonna make this real simple for everybody. Real simple. Someone says Merry Christmas to you and you have a problem with that, you're an asshole. If you say Happy Holidays to you and you have a problem with that, you're an asshole. That's it.
That's what you wanted.
That's
to say.
it. That's all I wanted to say about it. You tell me here, Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you.
I just want to point out,
we're done.
When I'm right that Donald Trump is being subpoenaed, y'all can all fuck off. Just saying. Sorry for trying.
Happy
to
New
break
Year,
this.
everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Break it.
Yep.
But yeah. Happy holidays,
Season's
everybody.
season's greetings. Merry
Season's
Christmas,
greetings.
Happy
Season's
Hanukkah,
greetings.
Happy Kwanzaa, whatever
Whatever your flavor, man.
Yeah, we really don't care, guys. But we love you all. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah. And we're gonna keep having fun in 2019.
We certainly will.
Conversation will continue. Please continue to like, follow, share all those good things. fermentingopinions.com.
Ooh.
Yes.
I have something.
Dude,
okay,
how can we
so
find you and more about your stuff?
Oh no, not me. So I think it would be
okay.
really neat. Your favorite episode that you did this year.
Oh, my favorite episode. Oh man.
Oh, we gotta call somebody out. Like
No. For me, it was
Yeah,
probably,
I'm gonna ask you the same thing.
It was probably our conversation with Richard Suttles about tribalism.
Shit.
And
Actually,
that's a tough one, right?
man,
Because
I think
there
you're
are a
right.
lot of ones I really like, but it was about tribalism because it applies to everything that's going on. If you guys don't listen to any other thing we do ever, probably with Fermenting Opinions, please check out our episode. It was sometime around July, I think the episode came out. Richard Settles, he gave us a breakdown on sort of like the historic and evolutionary origins of tribalism in basically human behaviors and how it continues to impact us in ways that are both beneficial and harmful. It was fantastic.
Is that
and
when we
brilliant.
did it actually at my house for some reason?
We did that one at your house because I lost my AC
Yeah,
went out.
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
like 105 degrees in my house. Yeah, it was.
So it was in July.
Because it was July in Tennessee, and
Also,
it was bad.
Mr. Suttles.
What's
I don't know
your
if he's a
favorite
doctor.
episode, James?
Well, we're gonna get there in just a second, but I have to agree. Actually, Richard Suttles, his episode was incredible, and I really love him just in general. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Was Johann Rotz this year?
He was our very first episode of this year.
Yeah,
We
okay,
started
guys. If you
early
guys don't know
January.
about Johann Rotz and that first episode, sorry, Richard, but I got to give it to Johann. That one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I mean, that was not really politically related necessarily. It was a very deep dive, and I'm talking a deep dive into astrophysics and into philosophy and everything else. But man, was it fun! I mean, I really enjoyed that.
A little, if you guys who haven't listened to the episode, if it's basically an acid trip.
He continues to gain steam though. People are buying this.
Johann Rotz is a YouTuber who is famous for forwarding the argument for I think what it's called quantum non-realism, which goes to
Oh my God, that guy!
it's
Oh,
the
no,
idea that
it was
physical,
either in-
stop. The physical reality that we feel like we live in and occupy is not actually real. It's an illusion based on a simulation in the mind of God.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, it's well,
Like we're in the
kind of,
Matrix, but
kind
God
of,
made it,
kind of.
and we're all
Yeah.
here.
I don't want to sell it short because it really
It's-
begs you to listen.
It's well thought out.
It is. No, I mean it's definitely well thought out because he's writing a PhD for it and he's gaining a hell of a lot of traction since we've last talked to him. He's hard
Hell
to
of
get.
a lot of
he's-
traction in that PhD.
No, he's hard to get.
philosophy
He was
world.
really. Hang on, stop. I'm sorry. He's hard to get in touch
Sorry, I'm
with.
not hating on the profession.
No, he's getting harder and harder to get in touch with. I've tried several times because I want to talk to him about it.
I do want to get him back. 'Cause we were trying to orchestrate a debate between him and Ben Watkins.
He's getting
who's
a
personal
lot.
friend of
Yeah,
mine
I know.
and
Yeah, and I love Ben too.
philosopher.
But he's getting Dr. Rotz is getting a lot of heat and like.
Does he have his doctorate now?
think so.
Okay.
I don't know, but he's.
I mean, you could just give him the honorific.
I mean,
just don't
he's
know.
well.
Yeah, go for it. He's gonna have it. So.
No, I think he had his. I think by the time we talked to him, he had his master's. I don't know if he has a PhD or not.
I know,
Okay.
and I don't want to go there. Either. I don't want to go there on that end. But I want to tell you, it was a very well thought out discussion. It was very interesting. I mean, it was kind of some shit where I'm just like, hey, audience, if you're listening to this, you should probably drop acid beforehand, or whatever the hell,
My
It was a
favorite
great
episode was
discussion.
the why we don't report episode.
Thank you. That was
Actually,
really good
Haley,
one.
that's actually a great point, and that's the one that got the most traction, I think, out of the entire year.
In terms of
I
popularity,
thought that was
Yeah, popularity, that is
true.
I thought it was a well done episode.
We had
I thought
Rebecca
it was
Bailey
good.
on. You know Rebecca. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
And she came on and she talked about basically sexual assault, and this was in the wake of the whole Kavanaugh thing and
Yeah.
all of that. And she came on and she shared a personal story that was very, very vulnerable, and it was.
We had a good-
It's a tough thing to even hear.
We had a good
let
follow
alone
up
be the
with
one.
that with
Yeah.
the Hangout too,
Yeah.
and we had a lot of people on here,
Yeah.
and
Including my own girlfriend.
And both of them, both of those episodes got a lot of traction and a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
And all the feedback I got was positive.
Yeah.
I didn't get
No, it was.
one.
It was.
I mean,
it was
I think it's
amazing
because
work.
it's finally being talked about as like a mainstream thing that happens and is wrong and should change.
And I think it's nice too. I think for the most part, to generalize, I think it's being talked about in a very thoughtful way. So that's good.
That was-
I don't think I got one inso coming back on us, even in our YouTube comments.
which is a thing.
I think
you know?
that's a
Which,
victory.
and the thing is, we are apparently
That's a victory, I
homophobic
think.
and anti-gay.
Yeah.
So
Yes, even though we're homophobic and anti-gay, yes.
But not anti.
We're not actually
bringing
stop
it
listening
back
to them.
around to the beginning of the year.
Yeah, back
About the
to
trolls.
the troll invasion.
We're not actually homophobic or anti-gay, just for
No,
the
we're not.
record. No, not at all. We're not anti really anyone.
Probably.
Yep.
Maybe.
I don't know. You did say some things earlier.
I just went through a Rolodex of people.
Well, I've had some anti-thoughts about people.
I was like, I got a list,
But
man. Hang on.
I'm not for stifling anyone's free speech or
Yes,
anything. You know.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it got me faced with
That was the other thing. You and I need to sit down and have a conversation about ideological purity, which I think is another.
And why you're
Ongoing
in
issue.
Facebook jail.
Haley, I swear to God.
That was just the subline under David's main topic. Ideal periology, and why you're in Facebook jail.
I'd actually sign up for that semester lecture or whatever. That sounds pretty great. Ideological purity and why you're in Facebook jail. Yeah, I'd pay money for this credit hours.
It's a good title.
I can't wait till
well,
I get back on
anyway,
this and do that.
good night, everyone.
Okay,
So-
Good
Haley.
night.
Haley, good night. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Y'all
Thank
are-
y'all for being here. We've been at this for a little while. I've had fun. This is intended as more of a casual thing.
Yeah.
And just like a look to the future.
Well, it's been a great.
I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good time for me. Whiskey, politics. You see what I did there?
Oh man.
All the inside
Stop
jokes.
it and hang up the
All
live
right,
thing.
I will
God.
end the live stream now. I'm David Papiden.
I'm James McVeigh.
We're Fermenting Opinions, and we'll see you next year. Bye, y'all.